Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, all. Welcome. So happy to see you all joining me today. I know it is late in the day, or at least as far as I'm concerned. So I appreciate y'all taking the time out of your late afternoon to join the Mississippi Farm to School, Mississippi Farm to ECE Institute, our virtual lesson number 2. In this virtual lesson, of course, all of our virtual lessons are developed by and for Mississippians, but we welcome everyone from all backgrounds, all states, all places to join us. This virtual lesson, we are going to be covering local food sourcing and how that fits within the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and then some of our food programs here at Mississippi Farm to School Network. I am Eddie Dingus. I will be your host today. I am the Farm to Early Care and Education, or ECE for short, Programs Coordinator for the Mississippi Farm to School Network. My pronouns are she or they. You can use them interchangeably or whichever one you prefer. And I'm going to give us another minute for folks to join us, and then we're going to hop in. So happy to see you all. Welcome. Please let me know in the chat if you're unable to see my screen. And we'll get started here shortly. Got to let all my friends join us for the Mississippi Farm to School Network's Farm to ECE Institute. And this piece of our institute, we have an in-person piece and we have a virtual piece. This is our virtual piece, our virtual lessons. And this is number 2. We host our virtual lessons through August of this year, bi-monthly, so every other month on the 3rd Thursday at 3, because I like alliteration. And it seems like the majority of folks that join us are educators, and I want to make sure y'all are not being pulled in every 100 million directions, but maybe just 1,000 directions when you join us. All right, friends, I'm going to get started. And to save on my bandwidth and to help with any upcoming technical issues, of which I'm sure there will be some, I'm going to turn off my video to save on my bandwidth. You're welcome to go off video or come on video, whichever you prefer. All right, let's begin. With our slideshow. All right, friends. So as I said, my name is Eddie Dingus. I am the Farm to Early Care and Education Programs Coordinator for the Mississippi Farm to School Network. We are a statewide nonprofit, and we work to support folks across the state in making farm to school and farm to ECE programming happen. Thanks for coming with us today at our Institute, virtual lesson number 2. Here's our agenda for today. Many of you, I'm sure, got this in your emails. But if you did not get this in your email, that's quite all right. We're going to review it now. So our agenda today is, first, I want to get to know y'all, and I want to do a little regional shout out. So if you have access to a keyboard and you can get to the chat function at the bottom of our Zoom, I'd like to know your name, your title, your organization's name, and where y'all are located. So where are you working from? What's your organization? What's your focus area? I'm going to give y'all a moment to chime in about that. And I want to shout out a few of you in the chat. Your name, your organization, your title, and where you're coming from, where you're serving. I see that Reverend DeAndre Miles, a farmer down in the Jackson area, is joining us. Hello, Reverend Miles. And I see Nicole Jackson. Happy y'all are here. Catherine Hershak, I hope I'm saying that right. Apologies. I get my name mispronounced too all the time if I did. From Seeds to Success, a farm to school program in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're so happy to see you. Welcome, Catherine. My buddy Nancy Sylvester, the director of Global Connection Learning Center in Jackson, Mississippi. If y'all are not familiar with their work, they are outstanding as far as an ECE goes, and they do incredible farm to ECE work. So happy to see you here, Director Sylvester. Lots of Jackson, Mississippi folks. Oh, we have Ellen Reddy, the executive director of the Nolly Jenkins Family Center in Durant in Holmes County, Mississippi. I got to see y'all last summer. It's so good to see you again. Gina Mendez from Starkville. I know y'all, you're with the Social Science Research Center. So happy that you're here, Gina. Lovely to see you. And Ruby Brenner, a research associate also with the Social Science Research Center in Starkville. Happy to see y'all here. And please, I like to think of these virtual institutes and any meetings that we have in Farm to ECE. I like to think of them as networking opportunities and a way for us to build our communities of practice. So if you see anybody in your area, in your region, got a lot of Jackson folks, got a lot of Central State folks, reach out, see how you can share resources, right? That's what we got to do wherever we're at. We've got Nicole Jackson, a psychometrist and urban farmer from Brighter Future Farms in Drew, Mississippi. Welcome, Nicole. Happy to see you. And then Miss Marion Minton. I love seeing your name, Miss Marion, from Blessing and Hope Family Home Childcare in Sunflower, Mississippi. That's in the Mississippi Delta. I'm a big fan of Sunflower, Mississippi and the surrounding area. Welcome, y'all. We're going to keep going through our agenda here. We're also going to I'm going to cover our team and programs, as well as talk just briefly about what Farm to ECE is and what is the Farm to ECE Institute. And then we'll move into our guests du jour, and we'll talk about a working Farm to ECE model that's happening right now as I speak on the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Reservation. And we'll get to speak with Dr. Joshua Weaver, who is helping to lead the way in this working Farm to ECE model at Choctaw Fresh Produce, a working farm there on the reservation. So welcome, Dr. Weaver. Then we're going to do a little stretch and bathroom break, just 5 minutes. Sometimes an hour can be quite long for sitting around. And then after that, we're going to hear from Director Susie Evans Gator, who is the director of the Mississippi Office of the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Now, y'all, I might have some tech difficulties at this point because Director Evans Gator and I worked together on putting together a video for y'all to be able to view. So if there are some tech difficulties, I just want to give you a heads up. You may have to bear with me for a second. And then quickly after we hear about how we put the farm in the CACFP, I'm going to just very quickly go over cycle menus and how you can make cycle menus work for you. Then I've got some resources for y'all. Never fear. Every time that we do a Farm to ECE webinar, we will send out the slides to everyone that's on our listserv so that you can access them. And heads up, if you haven't attended yet, here's a pro tip. If it is underlined in the slides, it's a hyperlink to a resource. You can, once you get the slides, you can open that PDF up, go to the hyperlink, click on it, and it should be a working resource for you to be able to use. If you are not able to access that resource, please hit me up. I want to hear from you. I'm here to support you, and I can get you linked up with that working hyperlink. Okay, maybe I just overlooked it. And then finally, at the end of today, we're going to be wrapping up around 4:30. we've got a survey for y'all. It is a QR code, so if you don't have a smartphone, that's quite all right. Just send me an email and let me know you weren't able to access the survey, and I'll send you the link. But you'll take your smartphone and you can take a picture and then long press on the QR code, or you can scan it from your smartphone, and you can go to the survey. And once you've filled out the survey for today's Virtual Institute, I will send you a certificate of completion for 1.5 hours. And then, of course, I'll thank y'all and we'll adjourn. So I would like to extend our regional shout out and ask that y'all put your favorite emoji, any emoji, mine is the grimace face, in the chat. If you buy local products, local food, vegetables, fruits, eggs, twice or more each month during the growing season. Who among you are putting into your local economies by buying those local products? Oh, we got Gina, Mary Jo. Sadie, welcome. Happy that you're here. Masters of Public Health. I think y'all are the coolest. Oh, over there at Nolly Jenkins Family. I love it. Y'all are, oh, heck yeah. Julie, Reverend Miles, y'all are doing the work. Miss Minton, you are getting your local food economies energized by spending money in your communities on local products. Well done. Proud of y'all. So, of course, this is an opportunity for us to learn about how ECE programs and programs that support ECEs, or any program that has a meal program, might be able to get involved in local food sourcing. But first, I want to talk a little bit about our team. We have the Mississippi Farm to School team. We are small, but we are mighty. There are 4 of us, and then we have some really delightful interns working with us right now through the summer. Our director, Umi Jenkins, is on the coast. Our associate director, Sydney Bush Turnipseed, is in the Delta. Mary Jo Wilson Comley is our marketing and outreach lead and just moved to the coast as well. We're so excited that she got a new place and is getting to know that area. Welcome to the coast, Mary Jo. And then myself, I'm in North Mississippi. I actually live in Memphis, but I lived in Oxford, Lafayette County for about 21 years. And much of my community is still there. So I do a lot of work throughout North Mississippi. All right, y'all. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the Mississippi Farm to School Network's Farm to ECE programs. So we have a number of programs. Not all of them are for children 0 to 5, but many of them are. And so here's some of our programs I really want to shout out. One, and there are some of you on the call who are enrolled in Mississippi Sprouts. Mississippi Sprouts is one of our ECE programs that's funded through the Healthy Kids, Healthy Futures Technical Assistance Program. And that has been made possible through Nemours Children's Health with funding from the CDC and the Association of State Public Health Nutritionists. Mississippi Sprouts works to provide support to statewide ECEs to catalyze and grow these ECEs farm to ECE programming. And how we do that is every year, last year was our first year, this year we're growing, we pick 5 ECEs that have the capacity to either start or grow their farm to ECE programming. And we work to support them through technical assistance, self-assessments, regular meetings and site visits, event support, and we offer implementation funds to each of these programs to support purchases related to farm to ECE. Last year, we gave each of our 5, most of which were located in North Mississippi and the Delta, but we also had some amazing head starts on tribal lands. Each of them last year got $3,000 to support programming. And this year, each of our programs, which are centered in the Jackson, Mississippi area, get $2,500. We also, a few years ago, we received a donation of hundreds of garden beds. There was a liquidation, sort of going out of business deal, and we got a donation of hundreds of garden beds from these really kind folks down in Florida. And we used these garden beds to create our garden bed distribution program. So, what we did, or what we do, is we offer these garden beds, $150 gift cards, and technical assistance to learning programs across the state. We've had 3 registration opportunities, and we limit these registrations to what we feel like we can do within our capacity within about 4 months at a time. And once those programs register, we deliver and distribute these garden beds and gift cards and connect with learning programs across the state. And as of spring 2026, we've supported more than 125 Mississippi learning programs, many of which are ECEs, in growing their either farm to ECE or farm to school programming. The next program we've got, y'all are a part of, it's our Mississippi Farm to ECE Institute. We'll talk a little bit about this in just a bit, but we endeavor to support the advancement of farm to ECE programming through the Institute by bringing together ECE professionals, TA providers, community partners, agency leads, you name it, to share knowledge and build connections. And you'll hear me say this a few times on the call, but you can join us bi-monthly on the 3rd Thursday at 3. Our next session is June 18th, and that's going to be a how to get your community engaged in farm to ECE session. And our August 10th session is going to be how to educate and advocate for state level farm to ECE buy-in. That's on August 10th. Finally, one of our ECE programs that's new to us this year is the Physical Activity Learning Sessions, or PALS, which is going to put Mississippi on the map of early childhood physical activity. So about 30 of us are becoming trained as best practice early childhood PA trainers. So after June 2026, if you or your program want to get trained in early childhood physical activity best practice, please reach out to me to schedule a PALS training. We'd love to hear from you. So what is Farm to ECE, y'all? I'm sure you can guess, but I wanted to shout this out from our friends at Policy Equity Group. Farm to ECE increases access to local foods, edible gardens, and food and agricultural education for our youngest learners. And we define our youngest learners as those children ages 0 to 5 years. Farm to ECE enhances the quality of educational experiences in all types of ECE settings, with benefits that parallel the goals and priorities of the ECE community, including emphasis on experiential learning opportunities. So getting those hands in the dirt, helping them learn those practical life skills. Emphasis on parent and community engagement. And if you want to learn more about that, please join us on June 18th. And then lifelong health and wellness for children, families, and caregivers. Well, how do we make that lifelong wellness happen? Well, I'll tell you, there's nothing saying that there's a specific inroad to farm to ECE. You can start wherever. You can start at the nutrition and agricultural education inroad. So you've got posters up, you're reading to your kids at circle time about how to grow food and diverse kinds of farmers and diverse kinds of foods. You're having taste tests. Okay, that's one inroad. You can also, and this is a popular inroad, you can start a school garden. Maybe it's in your classroom, maybe it's out of your classroom, but regardless, it's edible. And the kids are experiencing what it takes to grow that garden and care for that garden and harvest that garden and then enjoy that garden, right? Or you could do the inroad that we're talking a lot about today, which is the fancy word is procurement, but it's where are you getting that food? How are you sourcing local food to get that food in front of students on their plate with regularity through the growing season? Lots of different inroads to farm to ECE. But what we see when we see all 3 of these pillars or these core elements of farm to ECE working together When you've got the education piece going, you've got local food sourcing or procurement going, and you've got a garden going, and your students are participating in each of these, that's when we see the needle move to healthier outcomes for children, not just now, but lifelong. Okay. So that's what we're trying to inspire here is we're trying to get together and help you all implement these pillars. And one of the ways we're doing that is through the Mississippi Farm to ECE Institute, which was developed, like I said, by and for Mississippians in an effort to further inform and energize our state's Farm to ECE movement. Because Farm to ECE is evidence based, y'all. When it is happening, we see positive change. The Mississippi Farm to School Network, we welcome all of you from all walks of life, all professional sectors to come together in this community of practice to learn, share about, and grow our collective understanding of Farm to ECE. Now, this may have been developed by Mississippians and with Mississippians in mind, but we welcome folks from all walks of life because it's only when you've got everybody that has a seat at the table and they have access to a voice and they can advocate for what they think would be great for their communities. That's when we start to see really cool change and really cool learning happening. So thank you all for being here. All right, so without further ado, I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the working farm to ECE models that we have going on right now in the state. And this is happening on the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Reservation. Okay, so this is happening between two incredible organizations. And those organizations are the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Department of Early Childhood. There are 8 Head Starts or early Head Starts that are operating on the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Reservation. 7 of those are state or federal Head Start funded, and 1 is tribal funded. But they all work together and are all managed and directed by the Department of Early Childhood. And they have long had a really big dream of getting local food on kids' plates with regularity through their Head Starts and Early Head Starts meal programs. It's headed up by Director Tina Ruth. As you can imagine, she is a very busy, very wonderful person. So she wasn't able to join us today. But we will hear from one of the people, one of her colleagues that we work with very closely and with whom she has developed an incredible rapport. And that is the chair of the board of Choctaw Fresh Produce, a farm that is spread out across the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Reservation, multiple farms working together to grow local produce and then distribute that food among the residents of tribal lands. It's a really incredible thing to see. And what they needed was a budget. They needed some money to be able to make this happen. So we worked with them last year in our pilot program of Mississippi Sprouts. And this program got about $13,500 to get off the ground. And what we have seen has been tremendous. I want to invite Dr. Joshua Weaver to answer some of my questions and to tell you a little bit about his role in this working farm to ECE model. So, Dr. Weaver, with Choctaw Fresh Produce, I'm going to ask you to come off mute.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I've also invited our longest serving employee, our current farm manager, Miss Daphne Snow. So she's also on the call currently.
I love Miss Daphne Snow. I've always been a big fan. How are you, Daphne?
She's just a delightful person to be around, and she is that last picture, she is responsible for all of that.
Oh, incredible. And, I think that is testament to what we see often in farm to ECE and farm to school working models is these programs, they need a cheerleader, right? So to be able to count on you and Daphne is amazing and what keeps this kind of work going. So I got some questions for you. And I was hoping, Dr. Weaver and Daphne, if y'all could describe your roles just briefly at Choctaw Fresh Produce and just tell us a little bit more about what Choctaw Fresh Produce is.
Okay. Well, like she said, my name's Josh Weaver. I'm actually the Natural Resources Director. I also serve as the chairman of the board for the Choctaw Fresh board. There are 5 tribal employees that serve on this board, and it kind of provides oversight and direction for the operations of Choctaw Fresh. Choctaw Fresh itself had established in 2016 and is currently a 501c3 nonprofit, and it works with funding through state and federal funding sources. Um, Daphne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We sure
Okay.
can.
Hi, I'm Daphne Snow, and I am the farm manager for Choctaw Fresh Produce. So basically, I'm the farmer, and I am the person that runs the crew also that helps me grow everything in 16 high tunnels.
Yes. And the way it's laid out, if you're not familiar with the tribe, we are in 10 counties and we have 8 tribal communities within those 10 counties. It's roughly 11,500 people. And through this Mississippi Sprouts grant, we are able to serve 8 early childhood facilities reaching 1,800 students.
Which is just incredible. Can you tell me a little bit, y'all, about the logistics of supporting this program, this Farm Fresh Delivery program? What does it take to make that happen?
I'm gonna provide just a brief overview, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Daphne to
Okay.
provide more specifics. But logistically, we're looking at purchasing roughly $1,200 of produce from Choctaw Fresh Produce, which is our farms, and then providing that twice a month to the 8 tribal early childhood centers. As far as yeah, I think, yeah, okay. So from that, I'd like to turn that over to Daphne to kind of describe the types of produce, our harvest schedules, and how the deliveries are made.
Okay, yes, and like Josh was saying, we have 4 farms located in 4 different communities. And each farm, well, we try to grow a variety of vegetables, anything from cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, cabbage, broccoli. I mean, pretty much you name it, we try to grow it. And some things are successful, some are not. Um, we try to base it on what our customers, which are the daycare centers or the tribal members, what they like or want, and again, what is in season and what we can grow here in Mississippi. So we plant everything ourselves. We maintain all the plants, and we are the ones that harvest it. We have a crew that we deliver everything we harvest to our crew at distribution, and they wash and pack all of the produce. We are GAP certified. So once it's washed and packed, the distribution team, they're the ones that are in connection with the daycare centers, and they are the ones that deliver it. Um, Me and my crew are the ones that just do everything else to make sure that we have something to deliver.
Yeah, that's great. In addition to that, we also work on other grants with a cooperative who is able to procure fresh produce from, I think she works with about 8 other farms locally here in Mississippi in case that there's any lag. So in our service, which we haven't had for this grant specifically, but through other grants, we're able to procure some and outsource some of that local fresh produce as well. And her name is she goes by the Tree Lady, but Kay Harvey, and we can provide her information at the end if anybody's interested.
Yeah, I know. I Daphne and Kay Harvey, the tree lady, their reputations precede them in the state as folks that do really, really good work on behalf of their communities. I got
Thank
a
you.
question. You're so welcome, and thank you for
Thank you.
all that you do. I have a question about, and it's going to be one-sided because we don't have Tina on the call or folks with the Head Starts, but can you all talk a little bit about the any standing partnership, if you had a standing partnership, or just a kind of knowledge of one another prior to this? How did this happen between Choctaw Fresh and the Head Starts there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think on the forefront it was generally or mostly directed by Miss Tina Ruth and her applications and her insight. I'm not sure if she became aware of it through conferences or through colleagues, but from that, establishing our collaboration was headed on her end, where she put us in contact with you, and we were able to provide some of the produce requirements for this.
Yeah, and how can you talk a little bit about the challenges that y'all experienced through the program?
Like there's some construction going on here at the moment, so you
You're
might.
so good. You're so good. If I need to repeat myself, just let me know.
Limitations. So we're currently staffed. We do have an executive director position that is currently um, taking applications. But aside from that, as far as boots on the ground or harvesters, distribution coordinators, we're up and running. We're fully operational. Um, Providing the adequate amount. So from our harvest and our harvest schedules, and then translating that into the deliverables for a number of these other grants along with this, and then just carving out what that delivery is going to look like as far as the pounds that are going to be provided of the produce in each one of these. So like I said, we're delivering twice a month to each one of these um, eight facilities. The coordination there with the distribution manager is by contacting, pending our availability, to confirm dates which they would receive and be able to best appropriately use whatever the produce is, because it may change, and it may change once it's delivered into a separate product, let's say tomatoes into sauce, or it could be a whole product, lettuce that's being served as part of a salad or something along those lines. Once they receive it at the facility, it gets put out as either lunch generally or snacks. And then with whatever's left over, they generally send it home, which it generally isn't too much, but they are able to send it home with the students so that they can take it back to their family to introduce them to fresh produce as well.
I love that. That sort of holistic, um, uh, why can't I think of the word? But kids are being exposed. That's it, exposure, that holistic exposure at home and at school, which is, top notch. That's the ideal. That's what we're going toward.
Yeah, I think
Um,
exposing children as young as possible, but allowing them to make the choice later in life. Because once they taste our produce, they're not going to want to go back. Uh,
that's right.
so that they will generally bring it up, and oh, we want that type of tomato.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Oh, they're so great. Those little ones.
I,
Can
I
y'all,
did want to
Daphne?
add something if I could, if you can hear me. I was wanting to add when Choctaw Fresh first started in 2013, one of the ideas was to place the farms near the daycare centers or the schools. So every farm is located, in close proximity. And the purpose of that was to educate the children. So since 2013, we would have tours. We would have the children come from the schools or the centers to see the farms and to actually see what we were doing, how it was growing. And it was always so interesting in the beginning because we would have 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds come and they thought tomatoes came from the back of Walmart. They didn't know you grew it in a garden. And like, I don't know, it was just a cool experience to be a part of that, to see them come out and actually see, how it was grown and where their food was coming from.
Yeah, getting to see those lights come on for them is amazing. And that's news to me. I did not know that someone had the forethought to put the ECEs near the farms. That is beautiful. So this is like, it's been a coming, right?
Yes.
Y'all, and Josh, you might know, I could probably dig at it, but you might know off the top of your head of that 13,000 or so that was made available through Mississippi Sprouts. And I know now y'all are looking at grants to sustain this program because it's been so successful. How much would you say on average you're spending per childcare center each month to make those 2 fresh food deliveries?
That's a good question.
I was wondering if you
A
knew because I
little
feel like it's
math
about.
divided by 8, it should be about $150.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was about $200 per center. So
Yeah.
that's 8 programs each month receiving two. And that's just amazing, right? That investment of $150, you're ultimately able to not only feed 1,800 students 0 to 5, but also families at home and staff members. Thank y'all
Yeah.
so much.
And I think we're going to really get to see that next week when we actually visit some of the early childhood centers that have now incorporated some of the raised beds and doing gardenings to help teach children more about where their food comes from.
That's right. Yeah, they started with the procurement inroad, working with y'all and getting those fresh food deliveries, but now they've got garden beds, raised garden beds happening. I want to take just a moment and pivot to our audience. Does anybody have any questions for our friends at Choctaw Fresh Produce about this working model? You're welcome to come off mute or put it in the chat. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to ask, and that's all right, but I just want to take a moment.
Yeah, I just want to also say we're tremendously appreciative of everything you've been able to provide us. It seems to be working, and like you said, we plan on continuing and then applying for additional grants to start providing food through K through 12 students.
That would be a dream come true. And, and just a shameless plug of Mississippi Farm to School Network. If anybody ever needs support, technical assistance, or support in this way, please reach out to us. We want to help. And I think, it's easy. It's easy to work with y'all at Choctaw Fresh and with Director Ruth and their childhood nutrition director, Miss Gibson. Because y'all are always so often and you're so good at being in right relationship with others. So thank you for that. Your integrity and your attention. It's been wonderful to see it grow, and I'm excited to see y'all next week. We're going to get to do a documentary together. So happy for that.
Hey, Daphne, do you mind making a shout out with Kay Harvey's information? You have it available.
Yes. Kay Harvey, I can give you her phone number and her email address. And again, she's at Tree Ladies Nursery, and her phone number is 601-656-9739. Email is treeladies@yahoo.com.
Daphne, do you have the ability to pop that in the chat or to send that over to me via email so I can get that out to folks?
Yeah, probably by email. I'm actually
Okay.
out at one of the farms and
I
I
figured
can't
you were
find
not
that
on a
on my
computer.
phone. Yes.
Well, thank
But
you
I'll
for
send it
that.
to you in email.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'm going to drop my email in the chat so you have it. It's Eddie at MississippiFarmToSchool.org. And y'all reach out to me anytime. Love to hear from you. Thank you both, Dr. Weaver and Daphne, to your crews. I just so appreciate y'all being here and being willing to share with us about this amazing program of farm fresh food deliveries in the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians Reservation. Thank y'all.
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
You
Take
guys,
care. All right, friends. So next week, thank you, Gina. I love the applause. I'd like to ask everybody to put a fruit or veggie emoji in the chat if you know a farmer. So this is a little interactive exercise. put a fruit or veggie emoji in the chat if you know a farmer. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Sadie knows a farmer. Broccoli. Oh, broccoli is so good. I want some broccoli right now. If any others know a farmer, then I really want to shout out one of our pride and joys, and that is, if I can, slow computer. That is our Mississippi Farms map. So if you want to pull out your smartphone, or if you're on Zoom on your smartphone and you can take a screenshot and then go into your photos folder and open up the photo of this QR code, then long press it to take you to the link. This is our baby. It was developed by my colleague, Mary Jo, on the call. Hey, Mary Jo, so happy you're here. And this is a way for us to be able to see at a glance farmers, community supported agricultural programs, food hubs, and more across the state of Mississippi. And the idea behind this is that if you have a one-stop shop where you can log in and you can find a farm, a CSA, a farmer's market, a food hub just down the road from your ECE, like what Daphne was talking about, farms that are growing food right next to your ECE program, then we feel like it's going to be easier for you to connect with those folks because they're a part of your local food system. So I urge all of you, if you know a farmer, I urge you to send them this link and have them sign up for the Mississippi Farms Map by contacting myself at eddie@mississippifarmtoschool.org. Or you can just email us through our website, mississippifarmtoschool.org. And we'd love to hear from you and put you on this map so that we can help you create a new revenue stream for your business or the business of someone you know. And this is such a handy tool for ECE providers looking to source local food for taste tests, for meal programs, for take-home bags, for little farmers markets that they host in their cafeterias, you name it. It's a great resource, and we want to share it with you all. All right, so if you will, let's take about 5 minutes for a little break. And when we come back, I would like to introduce Susie Evans Gator to y'all via video. So what we're going to talk about and what we're going to hear about from Miss Evans Gator is the USDA's Child and Adult Care Food Program, or the CACFP. And through the CACFP, when your ECE participates in the CACFP, if you are eligible, you can get reimbursed for food purchases, including purchases of local food. So if you will, let's all come back around 3:48, little bathroom break, maybe just a stimuli break, and you kind of turn the volume down for a second and breathe, stretch your back, maybe look up and around. I know it's been a long day. And when we come back, we're going to hear more about the CACFP and how to leverage it in support of farm to ECE programming from the Mississippi Director, Susie Evans Gator. I look forward to seeing y'all in just a few minutes, and I'll get us set up in hopes that I can bypass any tech difficulties. So take a moment, and I'll see you in just a bit.
CACFP 101. It is our vision at the Mississippi Department of Education that every student is prepared for success. Our mission is to build.
All right, y'all. As I anticipated, I experienced some little difficulties, some tech difficulties. Welcome back. I hope you all got a nice stretch in. I am going to be sharing the screen in a way that won't be as pretty from presenter mode, but I think it'll be a little simpler to understand. So without further ado, if you would come on back, and we are going to hear from Director Evans Gator about the CACFP and how to put the farm in CACFP. So I'm going to share my screen now. And pull that up for y'all. Thank you so much for your patience as you wait for me. All right, let's begin and hear from Susie.
CACFP 101. Introduction to the Child and Adult Care Food Program. It is our vision at the Mississippi Department of Education that every student is prepared for success. Our mission is to build a world-class education system that equips every student with the knowledge and skills to succeed in college, careers, and life in Mississippi and the world. It is our vision at the Mississippi schools in all grades. Our third goal is that every student graduates prepared for success in college, career, or military service. 4, every school and district demonstrates strong academic outcomes and continuous improvement. Every school is fully staffed with qualified, effective teachers and leaders. And our sixth goal, all students attend schools and districts with safe, engaging, and supportive environments. The Mississippi Department of Education's Office of Child Nutrition is poised to support MDE's strategic goal to increase access to high quality early childhood programs by ensuring that every child has access to nutritious, age appropriate meals. Hello, I am Susie Q. Evans Gator, the Director of the Child and Adult Care Food Program within the Mississippi Department of Education's Office of Child Nutrition. The CACFP division is excited to speak with you concerning the ways in which the Child and Adult Care Food Program can help ensure children in ECE programs are receiving healthy and nutritious meals and snacks. We'd like to ensure that viewers understand the basic tenets of the CACFP and the ability to supplement your program and receive reimbursement through the CACFP. The purpose of the CACFP is to ensure that early childhood programs receive supplemental reimbursement for nutritious meals and snacks served to eligible children who are enrolled in participating child care centers and children who are participating in after school care programs and family daycare homes. The program contributes to the wellness, healthy growth, and development of young children in the United States. One of our favorite sayings in our division is the F in CACFP is for food. But today, the F is for farm. Farm to CACFP works to connect CACFP settings to local food producers with the objectives of serving locally grown, healthy foods to children and adults, providing related nutrition education, and improving child nutrition. Farm to CACFP activities can increase children's willingness to try new foods and help them become familiar with local foods they will see in school. Farm to CACFP can increase connectedness and support a sense of purpose and activity in adults. Farm to CACFP creates a reliable outlet for producers, and the smaller purchasing volumes for child care settings are a good fit for our local farmers. We will discuss a few CACFP basics so that we have a clear understanding of some of the program's requirements. As discussed earlier, our purpose aligns with what the CACFP is. We're simply a nutrition assistance program that provides supplemental reimbursement for eligible meals and snacks that are served to eligible children and adults participating in daycare services. According to USDA, 3.3 million children receive nutritious meals and snacks through the CACFP each day. The program also provides meals and snacks to more than 120,000 adults who receive care in non residential adult daycare centers. In Mississippi, in 2024, more than 12 million meals were served through the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The following types of early childhood education programs may be eligible to participate in CACFP. Within the program, there are several subgroups or facility types. Each differs slightly from the others. For example, meal patterns between children and adults vary, and the reimbursement rates paid to child care centers and daycare homes is unique to the type of facilities. Most ECE entities fall in the child care centers category. Child care centers include for-profit, public, or nonprofit sites or sponsors of sites that provide organized, non-residential child care services. Within this group, there are different types of sites that can be operated, each with slightly different program requirements. They include traditional child care centers, emergency shelters for homeless children, at-risk after-school programs, and outside school care centers. Daycare home providers may participate in the CACFP through an eligible public or nonprofit sponsor of licensed, registered daycare homes. Unlicensed homes must have an annual inspection from the Mississippi State Department of Health. Grain is a required component for breakfast, lunch, supper, and it's optional. Some at snack, it's one of the choices we can make. And at least one grain serving per day across all the meals you serve must be whole grain rich. There are some restrictions as it relates to grain. Vegetable in it starts. We want you sources. Also improving. Now that we've talked about the purpose of the CACFP and program basics and meal pattern requirements, let's discuss local foods and how they fit within CACFP requirements, shifting to the next part of our conversation, which is farm to CACFP. This is really where everything comes together. Farm to CACFP is about intentionally connecting local agriculture, nutrition programs, and education. It's not just about purchasing local foods, it's about creating a system where food moves from the farm to the table even at a child care center, in a way that supports both program goals and community impact. As we go through this next section, we're going to look at what Farm to CACFP actually looks like in practice, how you can incorporate it into your program, and how to do it while staying fully compliant with state and federal regulations. So think of this as taking everything we've already discussed and now we're putting it into action and connecting it with farms. When we talk about incorporating local foods, we're really focusing on two outcomes: enhancing nutrition and supporting our communities. Enhancing nutrition means that our local foods are often fresher, which means better taste, better quality, and often better nutrient retention. And when food looks and tastes better, participation improves. Children are more likely to eat what's appealing. As we focus on supporting our communities, when you purchase locally, you're investing right here in Mississippi, supporting farmers, small businesses, and local economies. The impact goes beyond just the meal. The image on this slide highlights that connection. Thank you, Mississippi Farm to School Network. From farm to table, what we serve doesn't just appear, it starts somewhere, and local sourcing helps close that gap. Now, one key point we'll keep coming back to: local foods must still meet CACFP requirements, meal pattern, procurement, record keeping, and everything else. So, as we move forward, keep this in mind. How can I use local foods to strengthen my program while staying fully compliant? Why do local foods matter in the CACFP? First, it supports farmers. When you purchase locally, you're directly supporting Mississippi farmers and reinvesting CACFP dollars back into your own community. This is especially important in our rural areas. Second, it builds stronger communities. Local sourcing often builds partnerships with growers and creates opportunities for farm visits, vendor relationships, and even educational activities. CACFP becomes more than a meal, it becomes a connection. Third, fresh meals. Local foods are often fresher, which means better taste and quality. And when meals look and taste better, we know that children are more likely to participate and consume and simply eat. And that's what we want. This image, thank you, Mississippi Farm to School Network, shows that connection, helping children understand that food comes from the ground, not just a store. So, as we move forward, another key reminder: even local foods must still meet CACFP meal pattern requirements. Next, we'll talk about how to apply these benefits the right way while staying compliant. This is where things kind of goes to the next level when we talk about hands-on learning. Let's talk about and think about gardening. When children help grow food, they understand where it comes from and are more engaged. Food connection allows for our children to be more likely to try things, especially those fruits and vegetables that we just discussed. And finally, education. Local foods can be integrated into everyday learning, science, math, and more. The image here shows exactly what we want: children engaged and connected to their food. Thank you, Mississippi Farm to School Network. Now, one quick bit of clarification: while these activities are encouraged, they're not required under CACFP. And if you are using garden grown foods, we still have to make sure they meet meal pattern requirements, are safe, and are properly documented. This is about enhancing that which you already do. Now let's talk about what it looks like on the plate, the actual nutrition benefits. First and foremost, better taste. Local foods are fresher, which means better taste. And we said it, when foods taste better, children are going to eat it or they're more likely to. The higher quality. With less travel time, foods often maintain more of their nutritional value, improving overall meal quality. And third, increased participation. When meals are more appealing, children are more likely to try foods, finish meals, and stay engaged. A key reminder, even if it is fresh and local, it still must be creditable as a part of a CACFP meal and meet meal pattern requirements. Now let's shift a little bit to compliance. This is where everything must align. Everything must line up. Local foods are allowable in CACFP, but they have to meet the federally required meal pattern requirements that we discussed. They're outlined at 7 CFR in the Code of Federal Regulations 226.20. That means that foods must be creditable, means it's part of a required component, and served in the correct proportion. For example, we can serve local blueberries and local sweet potatoes, but if a food isn't creditable or properly proportioned, it cannot be reimbursed, local or not. Bottom line here is that local does not override compliance. Now let's talk about procurement, or that fancy word for purchasing. This is where confusion often comes in. Even with local vendors, 7 CFR 226.22, which is the Code of Federal Regulations that govern CACFP procurement, must be adhered to. This means that all of our purchase, how we use our dollars, must be reasonable and necessary, made according to your procedures as outlined in your approved procurement plan. We work with you on that, and fully documented. A common misconception is if it's local, the rules don't apply. That is not correct. Even small purchases using CACFP funds must be tracked, supported by receipts, and justified. We encourage local purchasing, but it must follow procurement rules. Let's chat a bit about one of the areas where we see the most non-compliance or findings: record keeping. In federal regulation, program operators are required to maintain records that fully support the meals they claim and the costs charged to the program, or how we spend our dollars. For local foods, this means that we're going to have to maintain invoices or receipts, menus, and production records that outlines what we bought and what we spent. And here's the key point: everything must align. If your menu and production records say sweet potatoes, but your invoice shows squash, we have to figure out what happened, or we should have documentation to support that substitution. If not, there could be a finding or a statement that it's non-compliant, and we could lose funds, and we don't want that to happen. So local foods don't create new rules, but they do require you to be even more intentional with your documentation. One of our statements is that using CACFP funds requires consideration. We have to think about and consider how we're using the funds, and if it is allowed. As we wrap up, I want to bring everything back to a few key takeaways. Local foods are a powerful tool within the CACFP. They enhance nutrition, support our local communities, and help improve participation. But at the same time, compliance is essential. Everything we've discussed today still has to align with whether it's the meal pattern requirements, procurement regulations, record keeping standards. All those things must be consistent. So if you remember nothing else, remember this: we have to plan, document, and verify. We're going to plan our menus and what we serve with intention. We're going to document everything clearly and maintain records related to our purchases. And we're going to verify information before we claim meals and request reimbursement from the state. When you do those things, you can confidently, successfully incorporate local foods in a way that strengthens your program, supports your community, and keeps you fully compliant, and most importantly, brings smiles to our children's faces. Thank you for your time and for the work you do every day to support children and ECE. Those of you who are here today that are not currently participating in the CACFP and interested in this program, you can obtain more information about the CACFP by submitting a letter of interest on your organization's letterhead, along with a copy of your center's current permanent license and your food service certificate or permit, whichever one you have. After submitting those items, the Office of Child Nutrition will extend an invitation to attend a more in depth mandatory training session where the application process is discussed at length. We want to make sure we give you lots of information. So you can begin by getting that letter of interest submitted to CACFP applications at mdek12.org. Any questions or think of anything that you'd like to discuss with us, please feel free to contact us at 601 576 5000. Thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to speaking with you all.
All right, everybody. So that was the latest from the greatest directors, Susie Evans Gator at the Mississippi Office for the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Thank you all for dealing with that middle of presentation, like horror show. That was my tech difficulties. I appreciate y'all hanging in through that very, very awkward time. Now we're going to jump back in to the slideshow we were checking out earlier. And I want to just go through by threading the needle for you all. So we heard from Susie that if you are eligible, an eligible ECE, you can get reimbursed for approved purchases of local food through the CACFP. That's outstanding. And it's a huge reason why the Mississippi Farm to School Network advocates for those who are eligible to participate in the CACFP, because it's such an excellent way to extend your budget by saving some money on those outsourced local food purchases. If you need to be able to access a receipt, like if you go to a farmer's market and that farmer doesn't have the capability to draft you a receipt, but you want to capture a receipt for your CACFP reimbursement, please reach out to us. We have receipt templates for you, and we're more than happy to help make that happen for you. Let's say you're not eligible for the CACFP, but you aren't doing the CACFP yet. That's okay. Maybe your center or your program can invest in purchasing local food. Maybe you're bought in and you want to purchase local food regardless of reimbursement. Or maybe you have a grant or you have a community benefactor that wants to make this local food happen. excellent. However, you can get local food into your ECE meal program, we want to help you make that happen. We want to see that come to fruition. So, wherever your funds are coming from, where might you be able to buy local? Well, here are some ideas. One is a community supported agriculture, or, excuse me, skipped ahead, back. A community supported agriculture, or we often call a CSA. A CSA requires you generally to purchase shares of food up front and then pick it up during the harvest season. So you might not always know what you receive, right? And menu planning might require flexibility. Let's say you have a really big program, like you're serving more than 25 children. A CSA might not be ideal for you. Let's say you have a small program. A CSA may be a great idea, but maybe your chef or whoever is cooking your food is not a very flexible person. How could you then sign up for a CSA and make it worth your while if it's not going to be able to be incorporated into a meal program that's going to serve everybody, or if your chef really wants things already processed for them? Well, in my day, when I was a director of an ECE program, what we did is we used our CSA subscription to offer taste tests to our kids. So we would get our CSA box in and we would pass out different items to different classrooms for them to explore during circle time. And that was a great way to set aside maybe $300 to $600 during the harvest season, get a weekly delivery, and have weekly taste tests during the growing season. That's a great way to get started. Another way you could start is through cooperative buying. In this method, you can partner with other childcare programs to buy in bulk from farmers, and this way you keep costs low. Or you could purchase directly from a farm, and you could go to that farm and you could work with that farmer to communicate what exactly your center's needs are and what the availability of items are. And then you can work with that farmer to make a purchasing plan. You can also go to a farmer's market. Here in Memphis, we have multiple farmers markets on the weekends. In Lafayette County, we had a farmer's market on Tuesday, and we had a farmer's market on Saturday. Our chef, when I was a director of our ECE program, our chef loved to go to the Tuesday market because it was a chance to get out, rub elbows, and also bring home some local food. You could go to grocery stores. All you got to do is look for that I'm local sticker. And often those prices are quite low because they are being mass produced. You can go to produce suppliers. Some produce suppliers serve large organizations. They offer local products. Let's say you get your food on a truck. Have you asked the people at the truck, or have you asked your childhood nutrition director to ask the folks on the truck if they have local items? If they do, maybe you could sub in some local items. And then finally, of course, a great method of procurement, which can be a really helpful budgetary way to keep the budget down, is you can grow it yourself. And you can find more of this information through lots of different ways. You can go to our Mississippi Farms map, or you can go to the USDA local food directory. And like I said, if it's underlined in these slides, it is a hyperlink. Next, how can you incorporate local, right? So let's say you're making the menus, or your chef is making the menus, or your assistant director is making the menus. Have y'all incorporated cycle menus? A cycle menu is a series of menus planned and served for a period of time. So maybe you have a cycle menu for 4 weeks. So you've got 1 month and you've got your month of meals planned. And then instead of making a brand new menu for the second month, you just repeat the cycle menu. And these cycle menus are easy to change once you plan them. So right now we've got strawberries. Love a strawberry, a fresh strawberry. There's nothing better. They're often in season during the spring. So you can put in your cycle menu that they are the fruit for a reimbursable CACFP lunch. And if you don't have the CACFP, that's okay. These cycle menus are still a great hack for keeping down that administrative workload. And you can keep those in rotation in that cycle menu as long as strawberries are growing. But when apples begin to be more likely to be in season, like in the fall, you could move those strawberries out of your cycle menu and substitute in apples. And all you want to do, like Susie said, is to make sure you keep accurate records by marking the changes on your menu in the event that you're participating in the CACFP. I'll give you an example of this plant forward cycle menu. This is such an excellent tool. And honestly, it was a revelation to me when I first saw it. So what you or your menu planner will do is you'll go day by day and you'll put in your milk option, your fruit and vegetable option, your grain and meat option for breakfast, and you'll plan out that week. You could even do a cycle menu for the week, but honestly, your kids will notice more quickly than your staff, and they will absolutely revolt. I've tried this before, it doesn't work. You might want a little longer cycle menu. But all you've got to do is repeat this process just for a few weeks, and then you can sub in seasonal produce, like in this plant forward cycle menu. I will be sending this cycle menu template as well as a cycle menu worksheet to all of you when I follow up via email after this meeting. Here are some options for seasonal availability. So let's say you've got sandwiches on your menu. What will you have in spring that on your cycle menu that may need to be subbed out in summer? Well, this is a handy dandy chart that outlines what's available in spring, summer, fall, and winter, and how you can sub in each without changing your menu too much and making more work for yourself. I love this idea. I think it's a great strategic way to incorporate all that local food that you source from your community into your working menu and make sure that you're above board in the event that you participate in the CACFP. All right, y'all, here in our last 5 minutes, I just want to give you a few reminders and also invite you to take the survey for today. You know that these surveys help us to get grants, they help us to report to our stakeholders, and they also help us serve you better. So keep that in mind. It's forthcoming. But first, I really want to uplift our next virtual lesson. I will try to keep the tech difficulties down. It's going to be virtual lesson number 3 of the Mississippi Farm to ECE Institute on June 18th. That's the day before Juneteenth at 3 p.m., so the third Thursday in June, and it's going to be on community connections. So we're going to be hearing from folks who have boots on the ground. They're running farm to ECE programs in their ECE programs, and we're going to hear from them about how they've gotten their parents, their volunteers, farmers, businesses, all kinds of folks in their community, how they've gotten these folks involved in farm to ECE programming and how they leverage those connections to make a stronger farm to ECE program. So please be sure to join us on June 18th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Also, I've got all these great resources for you. Lots of, we've got a Facebook group if you'd like to join. That's a space for y'all to connect and share ideas. I'm going to have cycle menus to include for y'all. We also have one of my babies is our Farm Fresh menus. These menus are already on Form 444 required by the Mississippi State Department of Health, and they align with CACFP meal patterns as well as our state licensing requirements. We've got lots and lots of weeks of these menus available for y'all to use at your centers. You can pick and choose if you'd like, but each one is budget friendly and plant or harvest forward. And you can access those at that underlined link there once you get these slides. Of course, you can contact Susie at the CACFP office in the event that you're interested in the CACFP eligibility. And if you have any questions related to Farm to ECE or Farm to School, you can always contact us. And to stay up to date about what we're doing, please, please, please always follow us if you can. If you're on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, we'd love to have you. We love to have all kinds of, we share all kinds of resources that way. So I hope you'll follow us. All right, y'all. Without further ado, here is our strawberry QR code. If you will just scan that QR code with your phone, if you're on your computer, or you can take a screenshot, go into your photos folder and long press that QR code until you see a little link come up in yellow. Then click that link and go over to the survey. This is such a great way for us to understand how best to serve you and for us to understand the sort of landscape that is local food sourcing at present in Mississippi Farm to ECE programming. I hope that y'all will complete that survey, and those that complete the survey will get a certificate from me. If you don't have a smartphone, that's totally fine. Just send me an email at eddie@mississippifarmtoschool.org, and I will get that survey link over to you lickety-split so you're able to do it. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. And of course, I'm going to stay on for as long as any of you are on and you'd like to ask me any questions. But I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us, for putting up with the tech difficulties, for being bought in to the Farm to ECE movement in our state. We so appreciate you and all you do for your children and your communities. Thank you so much. And please reach out if you need. We are here to help.